I would like to say thank you very much for those of you who reached out to us and posed a question of the deployment of AI in Ethiopian affairs. Let me begin with this. As you know, the deployment of WorldCoin, particularly in Ethiopia, has raised significant concerns, okay? Especially when it comes to the use of iris scan for identification. While it is presented as a way to establish a global digital identification system, its implementation in Ethiopia, particularly among vulnerable populations like middle school students, for instance, in Addis Ababa, it has sparked intense debate over privacy, consent, and the potential for misuse. One of the primary concerns is the collection of biometric data, which could be exploited by neo-colonial or authoritarian regimes like Abiy for surveillance, control, and operation. So, given the current political climate in Ethiopia, where the misuse of technology is a pressing issue, WorldCoin's present could exacerbate these fears. The government of other powers could use this technology to track individuals, especially in the context of ongoing tensions related to migration in the diaspora. Additionally, deploying such systems without adequate safeguards and transparency could undermine citizens' trust, particularly in a nation with a history of state surveillance. The ethical and legal implication of gathering biometric data from minors without fully informed consent and proper oversight are also grave, as students may not fully understand the potential consequences of having these and their personal data stored and used by a global entity. You can call up your family members in Addis Ababa and ask them the experience of the middle school students. Abiy is probably raising these young people and shape them in a way they will be obeying his command with a split of seconds because their biometric data is stored. Now, that's to tell you that AI is already deployed in Ethiopia. So what we are advocating here is not new. So from a peace building perspective, such a system could contribute to further divisions, especially if it is perceived as an invasive foreign influence. For us, for the Ethiopian Hearts for Peace initiative, the focus on justice and ethics means questioning whether technologies like WorldCoin align with the goal of unity, or if they introduce risks that may deepen mistrust and harm marginalized groups. So I ask you, how do you see this alignment with you and our efforts for peace and unity in Ethiopia? So we should begin by explaining AI governance in Ethiopia. So it can be a dream of a nightmare, and it is. So let's put it in a question, okay? Dream or nightmare? So let's see the promises of AI governance to answer some of your questions. In an area where human leadership has repeatedly failed Ethiopia, some propose a radical idea, AI-driven governance. That is us. That's us who is saying that. Could means artificial intelligence free from corruption, emotions, and personal interests, guide Ethiopia towards justice, unity, and progress. The promise is tempting. An impartial system that enforces laws fairly eliminates inefficiencies and ensures national development without political manipulation. But Is this a utopian dream, or does it risk creating an even more dangerous system of control? That's a question most of you posed on us. So why consider AI for governance to begin with? Ethiopia's history is marred by leaders who prioritize ethnic divisions, especially since 1960s. So they prioritize ethnic divisions, personal power, and external influences over national unity. That is obvious, it's not debatable, that's a fact. The current democratic model has been hijacked by such groups that use identity politics to fuel division rather than foster collective progress. That's also a fact. In such a system, justice is selective, corruption is rampant, and policies shift based on who holds power rather than long-term national interests. So in Ethiopian Hearts for Peace initiative, we think AI governance presents an alternative, a system that could process vast amount of data and make unbiased decisions based on clear principles and eliminate human weaknesses like greed, prejudice, and nepotism. In theory, I emphasize, AI could enforce laws equally without political bias. We say this very cautiously. Prevent financial corruption by monitoring all transactions in real time. Use data-driven policies to ensure economic growth and resource allocation. And then finally, mediate conflicts fairly, analyzing historical grievances and proposing solutions based on facts rather than emotions. But is such a system truly possible? That's a question I am asking. And more importantly, who would control it? Who controls that AI? So now let's talk the deployment of the mechanics of an AI governance system. To implement AI in the first place, to implement AI governance in Ethiopia, the system would need several key components. It needs data infrastructure. By that we mean AI requires massive amount of data on citizens, businesses, resources, and governance history to make informed decisions. And number two, decisions-making algorithms. The AI would need predefined rules and ethical principles to guide governance decisions. Who decides on these principles, you may ask? Council of Wisdom, we said on the previous video. So we leave that aside. And then enforcement mechanisms. Would AI simply advise human leaders, or would it enforce policies directly? Would it use surveillance, digital IDs, and social credit systems to ensure compliance? This is highly debatable, and we leave it to you. And number four is accountability and appeal process. If AI makes a mistake, who is reasonable? Can decisions be challenged? This is another question. And the system, when it is set up, these must need answer. And then, okay, you have all of this data. The point number 5 is cybersecurity protections. So a nation controlled by AI is vulnerable to hacking. So could external forces manipulate Ethiopia's governance by exploiting AI vulnerabilities? That's another question, right? So each of these steps raises critical questions. Ethiopia's governance challenges are not just about inefficiency, but also about trust. Would the people trust an AI more than human politicians? That's the bottom line. I don't trust it personally by looking at the dark side. Can AI be worse than human leaders? Let's take a look at this question and answer it. While AI governance promises impartiality, the reality is far more complex. AI systems are designed by humans, trained on historical data, and influenced by those who control them. This creates three major dangers. Automating oppression. If an AI is programmed with biased rules, intentionally or unintentionally, it could automate discrimination at an unprecedented scale. For example, an AI trained on Ethiopia's current governance data might reinforce existing ethnic favoritism rather than eliminate it. So the other danger, number two, is the illusion of impartiality. AI does not inherently possess morality or fairness. That's a fact. If programmed by corrupt actors, it can be used to justify unjust policies under the guise of data-driven decisions. Last but not least, the third danger is a system without accountability. When a human leader commits crimes, they can be removed or held responsible. But if AI governs and makes unjust decisions, who can be blamed? After all, AI system without accountability is far more dangerous than a corrupt human leader, right? So let's take a look at China's social credit system that provides a glimpse into this future, where AI tracks every aspect of citizens' lives, rewarding or punishing behavior automatically. If Ethiopia adopts AI governance without safeguards, it could create an authoritarian digital dictatorship where dissent is impossible. It is there. It is in the work now in Ethiopia. Abiy Ahmed is working on it. It is so hidden within this conflict, so people don't talk about this anymore. So where will be the middle ground? It is there. It is the future. So where will be the middle ground? Can AI assist rather than rule? Is the main question. Rather than replacing human leadership, AI could be used as a tool for transparency, efficiency, and accountability, correct? Now, with that point, what would AI-powered anti-corruption system look like? In real time, tracking of government transactions and decisions to prevent financial crimes. What will be AI-driven policy recommendations that analyze data to suggest the best policies, but leaving the final decisions to elected officials? AI-based conflict resolution could be studying historical grievances and proposing balanced solutions. Again, if these three things can be left for elected officials to decide, in our case, we said Council of Wisdom councils, they could approach to improve AI governance while ensuring human oversight and accountability. So, to conclude all of this, should Ethiopia trust AI with governance? That's the main question. I forgot who said that. AI governance is neither a perfect solution or an inherent evil idea. The real question is who controls the AI and how it is structured. If Ethiopia blindly implements AI governance as it is right now, without safeguards, it risks replacing corrupt politicians with an unchallengeable machine control system. But if AI is used wisely to enhance transparency, prevent corruption, and support human decision making, it could help Ethiopia achieve stability and unity. So for every Ethiopian, I live in the United States, I only have family, and also I am human and I am deeply concerned. So I let Ethiopians to know who programs and controls the AI is a very good question to ask. How can we ensure fairness and prevent the biases? Another question. What mechanisms allow the people to challenge and override AI decisions? AI governance could be a dream of a nightmare. That is true. It depends entirely on how it is designed and implemented. Right now, it is designed to do the same thing we have seen since 1960s. So Ethiopia must tread carefully, ensuring that AI serves the people rather than ruling over them. AI is the future, there is no doubt. And whether we like it or not, it will shape governance, justice, and society. The challenge is ensuring that AI is used as a scalpel for healing, not a sword for oppression. AI-mediated dialogue is the best way forward for Ethiopia to begin with, because it allows us to carve away the flaws in the current system while ensuring justice, unity, and progress. Is there a will of doing this with the current government? I leave it for you. I doubt the current regime has that will. But I believe AI-mediated dialogue is the path forward. One, we will know its effectiveness, and we need to break the cycle of manipulation. Ethiopian politics has long been dominated by divisive rhetoric, right? Where leaders use ethnicity, say history, and grievances to fuel conflict. AI does not have personal ambition, tribal loyalty, or emotions that cloud judgment. If designed properly, it can filter out divisive agenda, expose contradictions, and highlight truth-based solutions. So we need unbiased constitutional reform. For instance, Ethiopia's constitution, particularly Article 39, has been a tool for fragmentation rather than unity, correct? All of this conflict is all tied to this article. Human politicians have failed to amend it because of self-interest and foreign influences. An AI-mediated dialogue could analyze different governance models worldwide. Compare I'm sorry, something interrupted me. Where was I? Now, human politicians have failed to amend it because of self-interest and foreign influences. An AI-mediated dialogue could analyze different governance models worldwide, compare historical outcomes, and suggest a constitutional framework that prioritizes national unity and justice. And then find inclusive and scalable deliberation, right? AI can facilitate nationwide discussions by gathering input from all Ethiopians, inside and outside the country. That is without bias. Instead of a handful of elites deciding the nation's fate, millions of voices can be heard, processed, and translated into meaningful policy recommendations. So detecting and eliminating deceptive narratives will be where AI can be trained to detect and neutralize misinformation, ensuring that discussions are based on facts rather than emotional manipulation. This is crucial in Ethiopia, where history has been written to serve ethnic agendas, leading to confusion and conflict. And in doing so, AI ensuring justice without political revenge can be attained. So the fear of transitional justice often paralyzes nations. AI-mediated dialogue can help structure a truth and reconciliation process that is fact-based and impartial, ensuring that past atrocities are acknowledged without turning into a cycle of revenge. A tool for unity can be then be said about AI, not to control, correct? Unlike AI-driven enforcement, which risks becoming authoritarian, AI-mediated dialogue is about empowering the people. It acts as a neutral advisor rather than a ruler, per se, ensuring that governance decisions are rooted in collective wisdom rather than elite manipulation. So I tell you, people, whether we like it or not, the future is now. We need to participate in laying the foundation. Current government is doing it alone. If Ethiopia is to deploy AI for good, we must develop AI system trained on principles of justice, unity, and historical accuracy. And we need also AI exclude political elites from the old system who benefit from division. When we deploy AI for good also, we make sure AI remains a tool for dialogue, not enforcement or operation. Also, when we deploy AI for good in Ethiopia, we make AI recommendations transparent, open to the public scrutiny. So in just before we go anywhere, let's try AI mediated dialogue, which is Ethiopia's chance to break free from the cycle of bad governance and create a system driven by truth, justice, and unity. The only question left is, are we ready to take that step? Yes, we should. Let's say everyone agreed to be mediated by independent, impartial body. The whole world has some kind of interest on Ethiopia, be it the West, the Gulf, whoever, even African countries, small ones, they have invested interest. So they are not impartial. First, let's design AI to be impartial, deploy it, and see what happens. So what AI-mediated open dialogue platform for Ethiopia's future look like? To introduce this, we have to acknowledge that Ethiopia has long suffered from political manipulation, ethnic divisions, and governance failures that have fueled cycle of conflict. Otherwise, there wouldn't be a conflict. Therefore, this statement is correct. Historically, national dialogues have been closed-door affairs, dominated by elites with vested interests. To break this pattern, an AI-mediated open dialogue platform can provide a transparent, structured, and data-driven way for all factions, armed groups, political elites, traditional leaders, religious figures, and the diaspora to engage in constructive discourse toward unified Ethiopia. What would the structure of the dialogue platform look like? In our perspective, the platform will be digitally accessible, AI-powered, and speech recognition enabled, ensuring that discussions are inclusive, recorded, analyzed, and continuously refined for actionable solutions. That requires a lot of data and capabilities. Let's say we achieve that. We have the means to do that. how do we get group participants to get involved in this dialogue? So the dialogue will involve multiple sets of participants to capture all perspectives. The armed groups, example TPLF, FANO, OLA, and others, representing the military factions that claim to fight for ethnic or political autonomy, and this includes the government military side. Because it is now, Ethiopian Defense Force is now politically charged, so it will be grouped in armed groups. And then we have another group that contain political elites, the old and new ruling classes, including the Prosperity Party, PPP, which is widely seen as an extension of the EPRDF with a convince and confuse strategy, correct? That's no brainer. That's what we see. Nothing changed, right? It's an extension of EPRDF. We simply called it Prosperity Party with the most evil thing within it. And the other group is traditional leaders. Traditional leaders representing Ethiopia's 86 plus ethnic groups. These figures can provide insight into indigenous governance systems and reconciliation mechanisms. Each ethnic groups will gather questions that make their life easy and integrate well with the society without fear of exclusion or anything else. So that's a group, the third group, which is traditional leaders group from all 86 ethnic groups. The other is the religious leaders from Christian, Muslim, and traditional faith and other newly introduced type of religions advocating for moral and ethical solutions can also help in the dialogue. So this will be, religious leaders will be in one group. And then we have the diaspora, Ethiopians abroad who have the financial and intellectual resources to support reconstruction but remain divided in ideology. They need to come together and discuss. I'm not talking one ethnic group alone. I'm talking the whole Ethiopians, no matter what kind of ethnic group they come from, because their view is different. Let's say an Amhara in diaspora thought is not the same as an Amhara on the ground, or it's linked somehow. All of that. The Tigrayans the same way, the Oromos, the Somalis, the Afaris, and others. And then we go down. This is where the ordinary citizens who have suffered from war, displacement, and economic hardship can participate in. That's a general public group. This is to ensure their voices are not overshadowed by elites or other groups listed above. So we have grouped the entire population, and then convert that to a data that is armed groups, political elites groups, traditional leaders groups, religious leaders group, the diaspora group, and the general public group. AI can process all the inputs. So that is one way to approach the grouping of sets to be fed to the AI platform. Now, the platform will be built on speech recognition, we said, right? Natural language processing, NLP, and machine learning algorithms to capture and analyze conversations, making the process both dynamic and transparent. Now, the AI will function in many ways. Speech recognition in data collection from all of those groups is one, where each participant will be given time to present their grievances, historical injustices and demands. And then AI will transcribe and analyze spoken words, categorizing sentiments. Example, justice, security, economic concerns, unity, revenge, or reconciliation. And then the system will identify also common patterns across groups to determine overlapping interests and area of potential compromises. So that's speech recognition in data collection, and the other in this format in the platform is analysis and conflict mapping. By that we mean AI will cluster grievances and demands from all groups we stated above based on terms like federalism versus unitary state, land rights, language policies, etc. And the system will map the root causes of each conflict based on historical data and contemporary insights. And then AI will provide neutral summaries of grievances, stripping away inflammatory language, while preserving key concerns, because we don't want inflammatory languages as they are being said in YouTube and other kind of platforms. And the third, I would say, the other thing the AI mediated platform will contain is transparency and public information involvement. This is to say, the discussion will be broadcast live and archived for public viewing. The general public can participate by submitting questions, comments, and counterpoints via the platform, no matter how broken English it is. It can be also written in different languages. AI can filter out hate speech, extreme rhetoric, while ensuring freedom of expression as well. Because we don't want that. We eliminate that from the dialogue, because there is no dialogue with hate speech. Finally, AI-oriented solution can be brought for suggestions. That is, after collecting and analyzing the discourse, AI will generate potentially policy recommendations that address grievances while prioritizing national unity. Recommendations will be compared with global case studies to determine their feasibility. And a public referendum or vote can be integrated into the platform to assess which solutions have the widest support. In all, AI involvement eliminates this closed-door politics. They close the door, they discuss, give and take, they call it. And this is one of Ethiopia's greatest challenges. That has been secret negotiations where decisions are made without public consent. This AI-mediated dialogue eliminates that by preventing elite manipulation, ensuring no single group dominates the narrative, and also this eliminates by making all discussions recorded and accessible, eliminating political backroom deals. And also this dialogue, AI mediated dialogue, can eliminate everything by creating a national consensus through transparency rather than through imposed governance structures. Now, these are all the good stuff. Okay? If you can't comprehend this, I am sorry, but we need to work towards this. We need to be patient to listen. Now we've seen the good and bad, but there are also key challenges and also AI safeguards. Because an AI-driven dialogue presents a revolutionary step towards inclusive governance. It comes with risks. So there has to be a safeguard. Safeguards must be implemented to prevent the misuse of AI and ensure ethical standards. Number one is from the get-go. not the way how the current government, prosperity party's government set it up. This is all new. The first thing is preventing AI biases. AI models will be trained on neutral, historical, and legal texts, avoiding datasets that reinforce existing biases. And also it will have regular human oversight that ensure AI-generated summaries reflect real discussions, not algorithms or distortions. And then we'll have a diverse panel of experts that will audit AI decisions to prevent manipulation. That's why we call technocrats, okay, to take a lead on this. Number two, after we prevent AI biases, we need to avoid AI enforced governance. Okay, we don't want AI to govern us. We still want to be free. AI will serve only as a mediator and analyzer, not a decision maker. Final policy decisions will always remain in human hands, ensuring the democratic legitimacy. It's not the democracy you know that failed to work in Ethiopia. It's just a pure democratic legitimacy using AI that can educate and participate the citizens. The public will have the final say through referenda and continued deliberation. It brings solutions, based on all the data collected from people. So the third one is handling misinformation and hate speech. AI-driven fact-checking tools will immediately flag false claims while maintaining open debate. Automated hate speech detection will prevent incitement to violence while allowing constructive criticism. So there should be a strategy in deploying AI mediated reconciliation platform. Phase 1 will be a pilot program. We will conduct a small-scale test, most probably on the diaspora here in the United States or Europe who have access to the internet, with diverse participants, academics, civil society, youth activists, and name it. And we will need to identify technical flaws and potential biases in AI processing. First, we need to sit down and review, is this AI program unbiased, essentially. So we'll determine that by sitting down together, by looking at the program. Phase 2 will be a nationwide rollout, okay? If it works in the diaspora, and then we will roll it out to Ethiopia nationwide. Expand the platforms to all diaspora networks and regional communities, launch media campaigns explaining the benefits of AI-mediated dialogue, like we're doing right now. Encourage participation from all factions, ensuring representation from urban and rural Ethiopia, because the two groups are also different in the way how they think. And phase 3 will be policy implementation. The use of AI-generated consensus reports to draft constitutional reforms and peace agreements. Hold public referenda to approve or modify AI-mediated recommendations. Establish a transitional justice system to address historical grievances based on AI-analyzed discourse. Now we're seeing some political elites of the past and the present running into tackling or establishing a transitional justice system. No, it doesn't work. They are still biased. consciously or subconsciously. So in conclusion, Ethiopia's future depends on open dialogue. We suggest AI because it is nearly impossible to have all 120 million people participate in an open dialogue. The leaders who are in the battlefield, whom you think are the winners, are also oppressors for their own ethnic groups. So there are people who don't necessarily agree with warring factions within that group. So for too long, Ethiopia's fate has been decided by self-interest elites, warlords, and foreign powers. I think historian knows this, and also current generation understand all of this. So AI offers an opportunity to transfer governance back to the people by creating an open, transparent, and data-driven national dialogue. Again, I understand the threat, but this is where the world is going. Deployment of AI. AI is the future. By deploying AI not as a ruler but as a mediator, to start, Ethiopia can systematically remove divisive rhetoric, expose bad faith actors, and craft a future built on truth, reconciliation, and unity. The question is no longer if AI will shape Ethiopia's governance, it is how we will ensure it serves the greater good, rather than becoming another tool for oppression. The time to act is now. Yes, that's the motto. It's right now. There's nothing tomorrow. Otherwise, every day things change. AI will be set in a bad form, and Ethiopia will be in another techno operation system where no one wants to be in. You can't shop. You can't. You will have no freedom. So we discussed the key challenge and AI safeguards by preventing AI biases when we set it up, avoiding AI enforced governance, and then handling misinformation and hate speech, and so forth. And we also discussed the deployment strategy, phase 1, phase 2, phase 3, and so forth. Let's see the critique and challenge to this proposed AI-mediated dialogue platform. I discussed with my colleagues who know this very well. One of them they raised is risk of algorithmic bias and manipulation. Okay, while the platform is designed to be neutral, okay, the one we are proposing, I mean, AI systems are only as unbiased as the data they are trained on. That is true too. Ethiopia's history is full of contested narratives, and there is no universally accepted neutral data set. Who decides that historical accounts, political statements, or grievances are valid? If AI is trained on state-controlled or Western curated sources, it may reflect those biases, subtly reinforcing certain agendas while suppressing others. So the challenge is this: how will the platform ensure true neutrality in data selection? Can AI effectively recognize and mitigate historical propaganda or skewed narratives? Now, while this is one of the critics, the other critic is the digital divide and accessibility issues. Ethiopia has significant disparities in internet access. Sometimes government shut it off by itself for its own warmongering, and also sometimes there is no digital literacy and technological infrastructure isn't there. The AI-driven platform assumes broad digital participation, yet largest rural populations, elderly citizens, and those without internet access may be left out. These groups often hold crucial indigenous knowledge and historical grievances, making their exclusion a major flaw. So this is a big challenge. This will be a big challenge. How can we give these people access to AI platform we are trying to deploy? So challenge: how will the platform bridge the digital divide and ensure inclusivity beyond urban elite and tech savvy groups? Because we want to expand and take all data sets from all walks of life in Ethiopia. So this will be a challenge. The other challenge and problem is the danger of AI as a governance tool. We don't want to be ruled by a machine. So the danger of AI as a governance tool is deeply troubling. And so the platform is framed as a mediator, not a decision maker, right? So AI enforced governance often creeps into under the disguise of neutrality and that kind of stuff. If AI recommendations become de facto policies because they are seen as data driven or rational, does that not subtly, remove human agency? Ethiopia's political struggles often hinge on emotions, historical memory, and identity. So, not just cold facts, right? Can an AI built on platforms and logic capture the depths of human grievances? That's a big question. And so, this proposition is not easy. So, the challenge again here: how do we prevent AI from becoming the real ruler behind the scenes, subtly dictating governance through recommendations that politicians feel pressured to adopt? If we don't move towards this, the current government is already doing it. So this challenge shows a real threat for the future Ethiopia, because the real ruler will be AI. Now, the other part is elite co-option and political sabotage. Even with AI mediating, political elites can still find ways to manipulate the system. For example, government-aligned groups could flood the platform with favorable narratives to create an illusion of consensus. Armed factions might use the dialogue as a propaganda stage rather than a sincere reconciliation effort. AI's hate speech filters could be weaponized to silence opposition voices under pretext of extremist rhetoric. So the challenge now is, how can the platform prevent political actors from gaming the system and using AI moderation as a tool for suppression? And also, there is a lack of clear enforcement mechanism, correct? What happens after the AI analyzes grievances and proposes solutions? The proposal suggests a referendum-based approach. But Ethiopia's history has shown that powerful elites ignore public sentiment. If a faction refuses to acknowledge AI-driven recommendations, what then? Dialogue alone doesn't solve deep-seated power struggles. So the challenge here is, how does the platform ensure actual policy implementation, given Ethiopia's history of disregarding democratic outcomes? How about the ethical and security concerns? AI-driven dialogue platforms require large-scale data collection, including speech recognition and sentiment analysis. This raises concerns too. Who controls the data? Can the data be misused by the government or foreign entities? What safeguards prevent AI from being repurposed for mass surveillance or political persecution? You see, the challenge: how can we ensure the platform is not hijacked for authoritarian surveillance while maintaining transparency and security? So, to conclude this part of our discussion, we need a powerful tool, but not a silver bullet, okay? The AI-mediated dialogue platform offers a bold vision, in our perspective, for inclusive, structured debate in Ethiopia. However, it is not immune to manipulation, exclusion, or misuse. AI can facilitate discussions, but human oversight, ethical safeguards, and robust enforcement mechanisms are crucial. Ultimately, AI is just a tool, not a solution. The success of this initiative depends on how it is designed, implemented, and protected from political capture. The question remains: can Ethiopia deploy AI in governance without it becomes another weapon for the powerful? Right now, it is weaponized. The drones and other surveillance are happening. People are being killed. So Ethiopia cannot afford to continue with the old model of governance, where decisions are made in secrecy by self-serving elites. Nor can it endure further fragmentation or armed conflicts that leads only to more anarchy. The question is not whether AI should be involved in governance, but how it can be deployed without becoming another tool of oppression. Now, one can ask, can Ethiopia deploy AI in governance without it becoming a weapon for the powerful? That was the reason why we brought this discussion today, because technocrats brought this question to us. Yes, but only if AI is designed with strict ethical safeguards, transparency, and direct public involvement. The goal is not to replace human decision making, but to eliminate closed-door politics and ensure that governance is based on data, accountability, and collective wisdom, rather than elite manipulation. To achieve this, Ethiopia must ensure: 1. AI is publicly owned, not controlled by the state. 2. AI acts as a mediator, not a ruler. Number 3, AI detects and exposes corruption, because AI should document, analyze, and publish agreements in real time. For instance, rather than allowing backroom deals, online sales, foreign agreements, or peace negotiations, AI should document all of this. There should be no secret deals, only transparent AI-mediated consensus buildings. And number 4, AI prevents political manipulation. How? The platform must be designed to filter out elite propaganda and manipulation tactics. If one group tries to dominate the narrative, AI should detect biases and misinformation while ensuring all voices are heard equally. Number 5, AI facilitates public decision making. Instead of governance being dictated by a small ruling class, AI can summarize public input and generate possible policy solutions. These solutions can then be voted on through a digital public referendum, ensuring that no one person or group holds ultimate power. We said all of this. What is the alternative? If AI is not used for governance, what is left? Politics as usual, where corrupt elites make decisions behind closed doors, enriching themselves at the people's expense? Ethiopia has already seen the result of armed struggle that leads to more violence and power struggles. Ethiopia have seen foreign intervention and never acts in Ethiopia's best interest. always about extracting resolution. And also Ethiopia has seen the result of fragmentation. And the fragmentation does not solve ethnic grievances, but leads to weaker dependent states like Djibouti, for instance. You haven't seen the worst of Djibouti coming. And then Eritrea, also former Nubia, part of Ethiopia. It's now divided into South Sudan and Sudan. They all have problems. There's no solution by fragmentation. So Ethiopia being fragmented further is not going to be a solution. It always carry another conflict because grievances are not resolved. The need for public AI mediated governance is immediate. What was agreed between, for instance, when you say public AI mediated governance, for instance, what was agreed between Abiy Ahmed and the TPLF to declare peace? Nobody really know for sure. The TPLF and the Abiy Ahmed has their own agreements. It will lead to another conflict. And also, if you look at other things, like what deals have been made with Gulf states over land sales and displacements, where Abiy is getting all of this money, you can ask. The money is coming from Gulf states. Does anyone know the deals? So in public AI mediated governance, all of this will be known to the public, voted on. And the other part is what foreign forces are shaping Ethiopia's economic and security policies. Does anyone know what other foreign forces are there deciding for us? So this secrecy must end, my opinion. When Isaias Afwerki and Abiy Ahmed sat down and said, hey, we declare peace, what is that declaration? Nobody knows. Where did that lead? Now mistrust and again another war. So AI can be deployed to create a fully transparent governance model where no decision is hidden from the public. That's where we look at things. We want that transparency. So the era of rulers making decisions on behalf of the people must be replaced by public-led AI facilitated governance. We say this with precautions we discussed above. If Ethiopia is to survive as a unified and sovereign nation, it must embrace AI, not as a weapon for the powerful, but as a guardian of truth and justice. So the time to act is now. Let's write AI that is suitable for Ethiopia. And also let's see ways to implement public AI mediated dialogue platforms for governance in Ethiopia. Yes, certain tools and technologies are necessary to ensure secure, inclusive and transparent participation. All of that need to be there. We don't want to go any further. There are a lot of problem. We need to make a AI-powered public dialogue platform reality by reducing the negative impact. My name is Abebe, and this probably answers some of the questions we received so far. And in my final thought, AI can be used as a guardian, but not a weapon, as it is being used right now. This is just a technological shift, okay? It is a paradigm shift in how governance works in Ethiopia. and it's now time to act. Thank you very much.